Hey everybody. Hey Ice Louie, Brian, Chris, and Darren. There may be more people in here, but those are the ones I see chatting right now. Um, Thank you, Brian, for the digital. I call it a rose because that's what it looks like to me, and that's my favorite flower. So thank you for that. Uh, Ice Louie says Boogaloo home slices. So I hope you guys are ready to rock and roll tonight, literally, because the watch along for tonight, in case you weren't sure, is Almost Famous. Now, I had this in the description and the title and all of that of the watch along, but I just wanted to remind everybody, hey, Blissful, I just wanted to remind everybody that we will be watching the bootleg cut, which is a little bit longer than the theatrical cut because it has some extra scenes in it. So I'm hoping that for all of you that are planning on watching along tonight, that you either have your own copy of it. I stole my husband's copy of it because the only other copy I have is a 4K, and I have no way to watch the 4K back here. So I had to swipe his Blu ray. And I thought it would be a more, I guess, fulfilling experience if we watched the bootleg cut. I could be wrong. I could turn out to be wrong. I've been wrong before. So I know I could be wrong again. Um, or I see Blissful says she rented it. I did have a link where you could go to Voodoo and rent it for $3.99, which is, I know people aren't made out of money, but if you don't have your own copy of it, that is a reasonably priced way to be able to watch it tonight. It was free on, well, I think that was the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut was free with commercials. Um, on YouTube. But sometimes those commercials, especially when you're trying to participate in a watch along, can get a little bit tedious and a little bit irritating. So I try not to offer that up as an option unless we just point blank don't have any other options. But in this case, $3.99, I figure that's not too big of a deal. To pay for it. Now, I'm not telling you you have to. You can simply listen to me, and if anybody decides to join me live on the stream for this, um, you can just listen to me and whoever talk about the movie. You don't necessarily have to be watching it, but I personally think that the watch alongs are more enjoyable if you can watch the movie and you've got time to sit down and watch the movie along with me or whoever else is on here. Um, we didn't have too many. We didn't have too many for Terror on Tour last night, which it's okay. I mean, I'm not mad. That is not on probably not on anybody's list of favorite horror movies other than myself. It's like I told TJ last night and told the people in the chat. Um, I think I may very well be the only one on the face of this planet that likes that movie, that gets any enjoyment out of this movie. TJ was a trooper, though. He came on live on the stream with me and helped, boost up the interest level as far as the watch along. So you didn't have my tired old ass just talking about the movie. So again, I want to thank TJ. In case he, I don't know if he's going to be in here tonight, but if he watches this later, I want to say thank you again to TJ for offering up his services for last night. And, Uncle Bill didn't show. CK had already told me he wasn't going to be able to be in on the one from last night. Didn't have any special guests from the band. Never did hear anything back from them. So I'm thinking it's a case where they evidently don't get on Facebook much. Um, and that's okay. It's just worth throwing your hat in the ring, um, and trying to, uh, and as Blissful has told me, and I'm sure a lot of other people think about this too. Why don't you? It's like, Dana, why don't you contact them months ahead of time? But in some of these cases, I don't think they would have responded even if I had, give them 3 or 4 months. I just literally think some of these people are just not on Facebook enough to see their messages. I mean, case in point, Daryl Wilcher, who he saw my message, but he saw it after the watch along had already been done. So, or they could have seen it and thought, screw this, I'm not contacting her. I don't want to be on anything talking about that movie that I made up 10 million years ago. And I get it. I get it. And I'm not angry over it. I'm not upset that there weren't very many people in here last night. Um, it was just a watch along. Hey, some of them were going to be more successful than others. So, let's see. Let me see what everybody's putting in the chat here. Bliss, will you say Unseen will be here soon? Cool. Bliss, you wanting to know if TJ recovered? Maybe that's why he's not here. Maybe he didn't recover from that whole thing last night. Darren, you say, I kind of like Terror on Tour. It suffers from a bad print. I can't defend it though. And that's okay. That is okay, Darren. That's what I kept telling TJ last night, because he said, Dana, I really want to like it because you seem to like it so well. And I said, it's okay. I don't, it's, I'm not going to put anybody down just because they don't care for it. Yeah, I need to keep that in mind too, Blissful. You say Instagram as well. Chris, you say you hardly go on Facebook anymore. Uh, Chris, you say, I'll watch the replay of that, Dana. I got you. Hey, Unseen. Well, you said last we saw TJ, he was hugging his wine bottle. Yeah, TJ was drinking the wine last night. Now tonight, I have this. I got the vape pen. I've been kind of taking hits off of it on and off all day. Because, as I said before, the last week was a hellish week for work. And this weekend, there were some things going on. I'm not going to bore you guys with it, but it was my fault that they happened, but they happened and they kind of upset me. And so, I know, it's not really good to go to the bottle or to go to stuff like this. But it helps calm me down. It helps me not be as anxious. So just bear with me if I take a few hits off of this during this watch along. Okay. So I don't really have anything to talk about as far as a daily grindhouse. And now that I'm doing like the little teaser thing for the watch alongs, I'm not going to sit here at the beginning of every stream anymore and sit here and read off that tired old list of upcoming watch alongs. Hopefully, everybody will see these little teaser promotional pieces that I put on either Sunday night late or Monday for the watch alongs that are coming up on the weekend. Okay. I will tell you, though, that for those of you that are in here, the watch alongs for this coming weekend will be the original Pet Cemetery and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So you guys can look forward to that this coming weekend. Leslie say, Dana, that's great. If you shout, I'm a golden god, I'm going to clip it. Hopefully, this won't make me say I'm a golden god. Uh, I think, I think he was. What was he? Oh, it was acid. It was acid, and he was like, yeah, he was on top of the roof. So we're going to get to see that great scene tonight for those of you that are watching along with me tonight. Um, I also have. I'm going to star the link to if anybody wants to at any point in time. You don't have to say yay or nay right now. Barring it not being 30 seconds before the movie's over, only because you won't get to be on here live very long. And I'm also going to star the link to go to Voodoo to be able to rent the bootleg cut. Um, I don't have I think I was overdoing it on the energy drink, so I'm just merely drinking Diet Mountain Dew. I could not get my zero sugar ones, which some people probably say, geez, Louise, Dana, there's no difference between the zero sugar and the diet ones. Trust me, there is. There is. I don't know if it's the same with all of them, but I've had zero sugar Mountain Dew. I've had zero sugar A&W root beer, zero sugar Coca-Cola, and they all have tasted better than just the diets. So maybe it's all in my head. I don't know. But I seem to be able to tell a pretty significant difference. See if there's anything else I need to bring up. Of course, tomorrow night will be Camp Cronenberg. Tuesday, I'm gonna try to plan something, but really it depends. Hopefully, this week at work will be better than last week, and I won't be so freaking tired, and won't be working late hours and stuff like that. So I want to plan. My plan is to have something for Tuesday night. Wednesday will be the return of TJ and I doing the Friday 13th the series episode breakdowns. We're on season 2. This will be our second grouping of episodes. Thursday, I'm planning on doing another Seductive Poison, the Resurgence. And I think since I did favorite TV horror movies from the 70s last time, I think we're going to move into the 80s and we'll just carry on with that. So, got that to look forward to. Probably do another early stream on Friday. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday will be the watch along. So, hopefully things will go more smoothly this coming week than they have the past week. And we can just get in here and just have some fun. Ice Ice Buoy, you say zero sugar Canada Dry isn't bad. I don't think I've ever had Canada Dry, period, unless maybe it was in some kind of punch or something. Brian, you say I like Pepsi Zero, ice cold when I can actually afford one. Huh. Yeah, Cokes are very expensive right now, or soda, or uh, soda pop, or whatever you want to call it. Blizzard, you say coffee ice keeps me vertical. There you go. All right, so I just want to let everybody know. Of course, I'm watching the Blu-ray. I've got mine queued up 35 seconds in to where it has the little Vinyl Films logo. And of course, it says Vinyl Films there at the bottom. So I'll give people a couple of minutes to get queued up for those of you that are going to be watching along tonight. And we'll get started here pretty shortly. Yeah, Blissful. Dollar General does usually have good sales on Coke or Pepsi. I need to start making a trip to Dollar General to get my soft drinks. So I hope everybody had a semi-relaxing weekend. I kind of hope your weekend was better than mine. Other than doing these watch-alongs and stuff like that, my weekend, like the past week, was pretty shitty. Again, I'm not going to go into detail and bog y'all down with all that stuff. But here's to hoping that the next week is better. Ice Ice Boo, you say, my old bootleg cut came with a Stillwater CD, still in heavy rotation. I would imagine so. I actually ended up getting, and I've showed it on the stream before, um, and I might drag it out and show it again. I probably should have on at the beginning of this stream, but I ended up getting the record set that was about $130 something dollars. But it is an awesome set. If anybody's got the ways and means to play it on a record player, this package is awesome. Of course, I don't know if they've got any in stock now at Amazon, but you may be able to find it other places as well. But it's a really fantastic box set. Brian, you said, Blissful, right now I'm foregoing anything frivolous like soda or food, trying to make sure I can get my Ozempic fill. Yeah, that's the important thing, isn't it, Brian? And you say, unfortunately, I had a potential customer back out. That sucks too, when you think there's going to be an influx of money from something like that, and then they say, no, change my mind. Blissful has a good message for not only Brian, but for everybody. She says, Brian, keep going. Don't give up. So I'm going to give it about another minute. And if anybody wants to join me live, you can do so by clicking on the link, and that will put you backstage so I can add you. If you need to go rent the movie, then you can do that. I'll probably, because I was blabbing, I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. And then we'll go ahead and get started. But if anybody comes in later, needs a timestamp, just merely ask. And if you need me to put either of the links back in the chat, let me know if it gets lost in the chat. Even though I've starred them, I don't know how all that works. I don't know if that will keep them at the top or if they will still get lost in there. And I don't know if you guys can see on your end the starred ones, because I have two different columns. When I'm looking at the chat, I have the live chat, and then I have a starred that I can click on and just see the ones that are starred. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. All right, guys and gals. I think we're about ready to get started here. I'm not seeing anybody say, stop, don't go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 3, 2, 1 and press play, and we're going to get started here. You know what, though? I'm not sure if that, I think it is. Okay. Hopefully this is, hold on one second here. I'm just making sure. I think the bootleg cut's the only thing that's on here. I believe it is. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. And I'll actually be able to stay on the screen and be watching the movie as well tonight, because I actually have a Blu-ray. I can't even talk. Blu-ray. I even like how this movie comes on. I mean, I think it's unique the way the movie opens too. with it panning over the stuff in the drawer from the concerts and all of that. And you will truly know that you've got the bootleg cut if you see Untitled written there. And now we're seeing Billy Crudup's name, Frances McDormand. And I don't know if I've said this enough, but I absolutely love Kate Hudson. I love her and everything she's in. And I also like her mom stuff, Goldie Hawn, especially the stuff she did when she was a lot younger. Anna Paquin, I really like. I mean, this has a an amazing cast. Fairuza Balk, Noah Taylor. I mean, just and Patrick Fugit. I may be pronouncing his name wrong. Who plays William? Zoe Deschanel, Philip Seymour Hoffman, God rest his soul. Just everybody is absolutely fantastic in this movie. I don't think there's any weak links in this movie, actually. And here is the Chipmunks Christmas song, which I play every year now because I've got a CD with the Chipmunks Christmas songs on it. Of course, this is California and it's supposed to be Christmas time, but look, everybody's out in their bathing suits and shorts and short sleeve shirts and all of that. People going to go surfing. Yes, Ice Ice Buoy. Jimmy Fallon does have an amazing small bit in this. Coco, hey Coco, by the way, you say I haven't seen this movie in so long. I don't even remember the last time actually. I watched it kind of recently. So this is supposed to be San Diego in 1969. And I think they do a really good job of making it look like 1969. I mean, I'm sure if you looked hard enough at it that you would see things that like, that wasn't from 1969. I love Frances McDormand in this movie too. Um, she's get it kind of reprimanding this guy for having Merry Xmas instead of Merry Christmas written out or Happy Holidays. So here's Zoe Deschanel, who is amazing in this movie as Anita, William's older sister. I mean, the thing is, Frances McDormand is a good mother, but she's like a lot of other people's mothers that she worries about her kids. So she worries about them doing drugs. She worries about them listening to music that would encourage them to do drugs. Right or wrong, she's trying to be a good mother. So it's right here she's saying that Simon and Garfunkel uh, is talking about drugs and promiscuous sex. And, Anita's not having any of it. Anita's tired of her mother banning things. Yes, Zoe D does look very young. in this. I'm not sure how old exactly she was in this. So, Anita does not really hate her mother, but this is a typical, young person trying to rebel against their parents. And she doesn't even like when she thinks that Anita actually says feck instead of fuck. But the mother doesn't even get angry like some parents would have slapped their kid across the face if they thought they said fuck you. Um, I think I would have gotten smacked if I said that to my parents. This kid here who plays the young William is amazing as well. So poor William, he's, obviously he knows that there's something different about him and the other kids. And so Anita's going to kind of force her mother's hand here to get her mother to admit how young William is. Coco, you say, yeah, my granny would have slapped the taste out of my mouth. It happened once. Yeah, I mean, most parents and grandparents, if your grandparents raised you, would smack you across the face for using that word, or even if they thought you used that word. So Anita's saying, Mom, you got to tell William how old he is. And she's, I mean, the mother is kind of clueless about such things. She said, like, what's wrong with them calling him a narcotics officer? So William thinks they're 13 and he's 12. And so he's confused. He's like, so how old am I? So she finally tells him, you're 11. Coco, you say, I didn't drop the F bomb just to be clear, but I was 17 and said something. Yeah, you said something evidently to get slapped, right? Hey, Dirk, he said, Miss you on Euro Cult, Dana. Yeah, I really wanted to be on there, Dirk, but I was feeling so bad earlier this morning. You want to know what my thoughts on Slaughter Hotel, aka Asylum Erotica? Well, this was a movie that I bought a long time ago before I even met Steve or met the Dead Pick guys or anything like that. And I didn't remember so much nakedness, to be honest, Dirk. Uh, but I did actually watch it with Steve yesterday in preparation because I was planning on being on there, and I mean I enjoyed watching Klaus Kinski walk through the scene smoking and not really doing anything other than that. It was so hilarious. And I like the setup to who the killer was and all that stuff. I'm just not big on, excessive nudity, the girl on girl stuff, and things like that. I mean, that doesn't, I understand there's an interest level somewhere for that, that I just don't find it interesting. But it's not an awful movie. I mean, it's set up as a pretty decent giallo type of movie. So, getting back to Almost Famous, we see that Anita is leaving home and she wants to be a stewardess. I never did understand why she wanted to be a stewardess unless it was because she could see the world that way. Um, and so she's telling William, one day you'll be cool. And she also tells him, look under your bed, it'll set you free. And this is, I think, I mean, this is a great scene, but the next scene, when he actually finds what Anita has left him under his bed, is absolutely amazing. It reminds me of not only times that I discovered certain types of music, but also when I discovered certain movies. Most of them horror movies, but some of them not. So so Anita has essentially left William her records, which we're going to see here. And they got all the great ones. There's that Beach Boys Pet Sounds. There's a Rolling Stone album. There's another Rolling Stone album, actually. Led Zeppelin, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I actually have that on CD. I don't have it on vinyl. There's Jimi Hendrix, Cream, Joni Mitchell. I love Joni Mitchell too. Bob Dylan. There's The Who's Tommy. And this is a great segue here coming up to the older William, because there's a note in there to light a candle as you're listening to this and you will see your future. And I just love the way it just fades into the scene of the older William. So we're slowly seeing what's going to turn out to be William's binder for school. And, of course, he's got Led Zeppelin written on there and other kinds of music types of things. But the thing is, William's not a dropout um, or anything like that. He's really smart. So it's supposed to be 1973 now. And somebody has put William Miller is too young to drive or fuck, and somebody is having to take that off. And he also likes to read Cream magazine. And there is Philip Seymour Hoffman playing Lester Bangs, and Lester Bangs was a very interesting guy. And if you don't know anything about Lester Bangs, I urge you to like either read interviews with him, listen to some actual interviews that Lester Bangs did. Very interesting stuff. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman does an excellent job of playing him in this movie. Coco, you say, I loved looking at records and tapes as a kid, the covers. It's kind of funny because my dream was to write for a magazine. I went to college for English journalism, but dropped out. But that's interesting, Coco. Have you ever thought about, going back and finishing? No, that's okay, Coco. I don't think you're tooting your own horn. You're just, talking about stuff from your past, and I think that's great. I don't think you crashed and burned. I think, I tried college too, actually going to college, and it just wasn't for me. Now taking college classes online, I'll do that. But I just don't think the college life, dorm life, all of that was for me, or it wasn't for me at the age I was. And I also love the way Lester Bangs befriends, William. A lot of people wouldn't give a kid that age the time of day. And to see this interaction between the two, and they actually have meaningful discussions about music. Um, and William seems to get Lester. Lester seems to talk in rambling tones. I like this this conversation about drugs. He said, "You do drugs?" He's like, "No." He said, "Smart kid." And then he goes into talking about how he used to do speed and stay up all night and write, 25 pages of dribble just to write, he says. And then, you can tell that there's going to be more between the two. But, Lester kind of tries to act like, okay, kid, it's been good talking to you, but, I can't stand around here all day talking to my many fans. When apparently it seems that William is the only fan that's standing around talking to him. Blissful, you say, Coco, I thought about going to college, but I've learned so many things from just living life. I see that is more and more true all the time, Blissful. So they end up in this little diner. And Lister's giving him some really solid advice here. He says, you cannot make friends with the rock stars because, for one thing, you've got an honest face. And he says, to be a rock journalist, first, you never get paid much, but you'll get free records. Um, and he says, there's nothing that is controversial about you. He says it's going to get ugly. They're going to buy you drinks. You're going to meet girls. They're going to try to fly you places for free, offer you drugs. He says, I know it sounds great, but these people are not your friends because they're going to want you to write just, you know, fake stuff, not the real stories. These are very quotable lines right here where he's talking about the industry of cool and all that. So he tells him, do 1,000 words on Black Sabbath and I'll pay you $35, which was probably quite a bit of money back in 73. And I like this. You have to make your reputation on being honest and unmerciful. And that is something that even before I watched this movie, I try to be. It's not about being mean and hateful. That's a whole different thing. When he talks about being honest and unmerciful, to me that means tell the truth. Don't sugarcoat stuff. Tell the truth. It doesn't matter if you're writing about a band or you're doing a live stream about a band or a movie or a boutique label or whatever. You've got to be honest, and that's why I think that people like Dead Pit are so successful because they are honest. They don't bullshit you in order to get things, right? So one line there of dialogue really resonated with me. Now, if y'all are talking about Flashback with Kiefer Sutherland and Dennis Hopper, that's a great movie and one that I will be doing an upcoming watch along for. Blissful says, from my perspective, make friends with rock stars. Chris, you say I'm listening to your occult, so Darren mentioned he had to watch it. So now we're going to get to now. I guess the indication is to call these girls groupies, which at certain points in times in the film, they do act like groupies or the traditional way that groupies would have acted. Um, but here is the introduction to Kate Hudson's character, Penny Lane. Um, and he says, I'm not a groupie. And so she said, we are not groupies. And the other girl says, this is Penny Lane, man. Show some respect. So she says, groupies sleep with rock stars because they want to be famous. We're here because of the music. We're band-aids. But I'm not saying that they're wanting to have sex with the guys in Stillwater to get famous. But the way that they react at certain points after they get embroiled with Stillwater does seem to be groupie behavior. And I am not trying to piss anybody off at all by saying that. So, uh, I know Blissful, had relationships with guys in rock bands. And, some of these people are still our friends and stuff like that. And I would never say that Blissful was a groupie because I wasn't there. I didn't see what happened. But I'm just saying, for the purposes of this movie, we're actually seeing what these girls are doing in the movie, or their characters are doing. And it certainly does seem, in my opinion, to be groupie behavior. So poor William was having a lot of trouble getting inside there to interview Black Sabbath, which is supposed to be his assignment. Um, this guy is being a real turd and he's not going to let William in there. So William's completely, put out now. So I think he's just about to give up. And here is the introduction to Stillwater. Um, so they're late. So they're banging on the door wanting Freddie to let them in. And William just kind of runs up to him, says, "I'm a journalist for Cream magazine," and of course they say, "Oh, the enemy," you know. And he says, I'd like to interview you or somebody from your band. And he basically gets told to fuck off. So um, William tries a different tactic. He talks about how much he loves their band, that he loves the song Fever Dog, all of that. And they kind of look at William like he woke up that morning and put his clothes on sideways, right? So he's just like, okay, I give up now. And so they're like, "Hey, man, don't stop there. They want to hear more good things." And so William manages to get in to the venue with Stillwater. And this is going to be William's first taste of what it actually looks like backstage at a rock concert. Hey, Gizmo. Gizmo says, "Have a great stream working." Hello, everyone in the chat. Well, thank you, Gizmo, for stopping by. So here William is trying to get an interview with people, but he's talking to Jeff, played by Jason Lee, but you can tell he's really interested in talking to Russell, um, played by Billy Crudup. I love the clothes in this movie too, Blissful. So Penny Lane reappears and she says, "Found you a pass," but he's already got one, and he's like, "Yeah, I got in with Stillwater." But here's the thing, though. I said that these girls act like groupies at certain points in time. However, and again, this is not meant to offend anybody that spends any time backstage with rock stars. But I have heard stories about some infamous or famous or infamous groupies. One in particular called the Butter Queen that is just disgusting. Um, then there was Cynthia Plastercaster. And I'm sure Blissful has heard of all these people that made molds of rock stars' penises. And I'm like, I don't get that behavior. So the behavior that Penny Lane and her friends exhibit is really quite innocent compared with some of the real stories I've heard, like the behind the scenes stuff. Oh, Blissful, I hope you don't take offense. So, The Butter Queen, was that Miss Pamela then? I didn't know much about them other than what I heard. Um, and I hope you don't take offense that I found some of the stuff they did kind of gross, but that's just one person's opinion on that. Um, it's just maybe it's just because I'm naive or something, and I just don't understand that. And I've never been uninhibited like that. I guess that's what these ladies are. They're uninhibited. They just see what they want and they go for it. And they don't care what anybody thinks or anything like that. The first time I ever heard of the Butter Queen was I was reading a David Cassidy biography, and he was talking about his experiences with the Butter Queen, and I was just like, but I'm not. I've never been privy to the inside track as far as rock stars, you know. And so I don't know everything about these people, only what I've read. And so, just please bear with me as I kind of muddle through that kind of stuff. Blissful, you say, no, not at all. LOL. They were really nice. Cynthia was the plaster caster. And I'm sure they were nice. You don't get to where you get by being a jerk. So here's another thing. I love the Stillwater songs in this movie, because they just add to it. You've got the regular music from that time period that plays throughout the movie, but then you have the bonus of having these Stillwater songs as well. So you see William, writing stuff in his notebook, and Penny is just like, no, you don't do that. Listen to the music, groove with the music. Don't be writing in your notebook. And also, I just think Kate Hudson is just absolutely stunning, especially in this movie. Let's what you say. It's not fair. Guys always had the best hair. I know. Coco, you say, I'm open minded and can be a bit crass, more so when younger, but sex is a big deal to me. I believe in modesty too. It should be special, especially when love is involved. That is a nearly perfect statement, Coco. And I couldn't have said it better. So now Russell is telling William, tell your friend Miss Penny Lane to call me. And so I want to know other people's take on this. Okay. Um, because, and maybe I'm just stupid, but does anybody get the impression that Russell and Penny have messed around before, or have had an on again, off again relationship before, or is this his first time meeting her? There's Feruza Balk, I believe playing Sapphire. So you can see that William is already getting, kind of hooked on this uh, rock star life. He's loving it. And I think anybody would that has any interest in music, or, to be able to get backstage for your favorite movies or something, get behind the scenes and see the inner workings of all this stuff. I think any fan would be thrilled to be able to see this stuff and hear the conversations that go on. Blissful says, Coco, I agree 100%, especially when you meet the one you're destined to be with. Exactly, Blissful. So Penny's telling William, call me if you need a rescue. We live in the same city. To which William says, I think I live in a different world. So I love these little things, these little conversations, these little mini conversations that Penny has with the people that are around her. So she's telling William she's decided to live in Morocco for 1 year. And she asks him, do you want to come? Coco, I agree. Destiny is a tricky bitch. Yeah, I love that coat too, Blissful. But you say on Etsy a coat like Penny's was $600. Coco, you say I believe I was destined to be with somebody, but they didn't see it that way. Haven't seen that person in nearly 30 years. I feel terribly foolish for still thinking about them. Oh, Coco, don't though, honey, because I've done the same thing over the years. Um, and it's one thing if you're dangerously stalking somebody. It's a totally different thing to me if you were really into somebody at one time and for whatever reason they didn't feel the same way you did. And sane people have to drop it, but that doesn't mean that you can't think about them from time to time. So I think this is one of the extra scenes where Daryl comes back, you know, to the room that was Anita's room, and now it's William's room. And so Daryl starts talking about things that are making William very uncomfortable. So Daryl is saying, I'm just going to hang here for a minute. And so William he's telling his mom he's going to a school dance, but he's really going with Penny to the ride house, as they call it. I think it's the Continental Hide House or whatever, um, where there's going to be another, concert and people are hanging out and all that. Coco, you say more so. I wonder how their life went, who they became. Did they have children? No, not a stalker type mentality, just curiosity. Right, exactly. So Penny gives very good advice. She says, I always tell the girls not to take it seriously. If you don't take it seriously, you won't get hurt. Um, and then he starts talking about Russell, and she says, Russell has a girlfriend. I can't even say her name. So we get the Rod Stewart song here as they are making their way to the Continental Hidehouse. And here's one of the big things they say, it's all happening. They say that quite a bit in here. So here's Peter Frampton playing Reg, Humble Pie's road manager. So now she's saying, I made a decision. I'm going traveling to India, and then I'm going to play the violin, and then I'm going to college for 1 year. That's the thing she says, for 1 year. She always says that. Um, so there's these Alice Cooper fans, and um, they're saying, call Alice Cooper and telling her the name he's in the hotel under and all that. And there's Anna Paquin playing Polexia Aphrodisiac, I believe. So Polexia thinks she's in love with Jeff, or she's convinced she's in love with Jeff Beebe from Stillwater. And then I think that's Bayou Phillips there, the huge Led Zeppelin fan, who's playing Vic there. So, what person in their right mind wouldn't want to hang out with a rock band in a hotel room and just be just be jamming? Like, I don't know if this ever, it may have happened to Cameron Crowe, but I don't know if this has ever really happened to anybody else. Maybe Blissful can help me out here. Blissful, did you ever get to hang out in a hotel room with a bunch of fans and the band and all of that? So here's kind of another clue that maybe Penny and Russell had something going on before. Um, and she says she'll eat him alive. And like, William's like, we got to stop them. And she's like, no, you were her excuse for coming here. But again, these girls are sweet and nice and everything. But the line's coming up here in a little bit, and I believe it's here in this scene where Polexia starts telling, William, she's like, "You're funny," and then you're cute. No, only you were taller, English, and rich, and a guitar player and older. And he said, I'd be somebody else. But that kind of shows kind of the how superficial they are when it comes down to it. Coco, you say it's probably happening right now. Probably young folks having fun in a hotel motel room. More than likely. Because I tell you one thing, this scene here where, he's, coming on to her and all that, um, it really indicates to me that they had something going on before. This really, really leads me to believe they had something going on because she says didn't even leave a pass in San Diego. And then Russell's turning on the charm here. Coco, you say you're terrified of being electrocuted? Yeah, I don't want to be electrocuted either. Coco, you say I'm off. Not sure if I'm ahead of you guys. Um, well, I'm 48 minutes and about 8 seconds in. You're probably talking about a scene coming up where Russell nearly gets electrocuted. So this is where William gets the call from um, Rolling Stone. So they're wanting him to write a story for him, and he brings up Stillwater. Oh, Coco, you say you're 46 minutes watching with commercials, though. And also, Coco, I know you came in a little later. We are watching the bootleg cut, and if you're watching the cut on YouTube with the commercials, that might not be the bootleg cut. So that might be how you got so far ahead of us because it doesn't have those extra scenes in it. Coco, you say I'll skip through them if I'm paying attention to do so. Damn, I love Led Zeppelin. So now Lester's telling him, beware, beware of Rolling Stone. They'll rewrite it and turn it into swill. Um, but then he says, look, do the story. Who cares? It'll be good for you. But he says, don't do it to make friends with people who are trying to use you. Um, so, and don't let the swill merchants rewrite you. Then he says, "Now what do you listen to?" And he says, "Stillwater." He says, "Stillwater, the kid's doing drugs." So now he's getting more pressure from his mother. It says, "You can't miss any more than 4 days. I want you to give me a phone number where you're at, and I want to know where you're at every minute, and no drugs." Blizzard, you say Led Zeppelin is beyond amazing, and Coco, you say darn tootin' Bliss. I used to be obsessed with the song No Quarter at 16. Me and my best friend would just sit and blast it. So William is really living the life now. He is on a tour bus. And William is still trying to get an interview with Russell. And so Russell says, when we get to Phoenix, we'll have time to talk. And Jeff seems a little uneasy about this. So William is telling him, I got to get this interview because I've got to go back and graduate. I don't know who that guy in the back is because I don't think I had seen him before. I'm guessing maybe he's a roadie or something, but here's the thing, Penny really cares about William. She cares about people. So he's the guy that plays the cowbell? Okay. So this is funny because the guy at the desk at the hotel says that William's mother freaked him out and tell her to stop. That guy looks like a Sheldon. So she left a message for him not to take drugs. So now Jeff's telling Russell, I'm worried about him. He's writing for Rolling Stone. And Russell's like, nah, don't worry about it. He's a fan. Coco, you say, I have no idea. I'm being stupid. No, you're not being stupid. I just thought maybe I missed something, wouldn't be the first time. So here's another thing. William gets stuck in the room with the girls. And so one of the girls has spied Simon Kirk from Bad Company by the pool, and they're all going crazy over it. So Russell is, he told William when they got to Phoenix that he could do the interview, and now he's saying go away. And when the doors open, it's Penny's in there. And Penny's always trying to smooth things over. I like this too because instead of the do not disturb, he switched around to the maid can come in. And William's always swiping stuff, souvenirs. This is going to kind of backfire on him later in the movie. Jason Lee's not bad looking at all, Coco. You say I used to think old Jason Lee was hot. I think I'm more of a Billy Crudup woman, though. Um, I think he really looked good at this point in time that he was on this movie. So here's the guy, the DJ that like just passes out on him. I don't know how anybody could stand to listen to this Quince guy for very long. So Russell says shit here, and they think, oh gosh, is this live or can you edit it out? Or, um, but Quince is just, he's passed out. So they really take advantage of this. And they're using, the F word a lot. Can you imagine if an interview went out like this and maybe it has. Maybe an interview slipped out that was like this. I mean, that what he's saying will be good, like in a beat poet type of way, but the guy is just totally gone. So William's mother is about to find out that, William is down the bar with the band. They just got back from the radio station. And then Sapphire wants to know, are you Marianne with the pot? And so Sapphire quickly comes up with a story that, tells William's mother, you should be really proud of him because he respects women and he likes women. And we should pause and appreciate a man like that. And he's having a great time. He's doing a good job. And don't worry, he's still a virgin. And everybody's looking out for him. And then she's going to say, this is the maid speaking, by the way. So Russell tells him, shut that recorder off for a second. And he's going to say, I trust you, so I'm just going to lay this right on you. Um, just make us look cool. I mean, isn't that what all rock stars want? They just want to be made to look cool. And William says, yeah, I'm going to quote you warmly and accurately. And then Russell says, well, that's what I'm worried about. Because he says some of us, we got girlfriends. Some of us have wives. And some of the people that you meet on the road are amazing people. But, there's some things that are okay for a few people to know about as opposed to the whole world knowing about them. In other words, he's saying don't put all of this stuff in Rolling Stone. And so then Russell's really opening up. He says that he's past the other guys in the band as far as musicians, but it gets harder and harder for him to leave them and kind of go out on his own. And the fact that as time goes on, the members of the band can't hear the music anymore. He says, I used to be able to hear the sounds of the world, everything. And it sounded like music. And he says, I don't hear it anymore. I like this line too. I'm telling secrets to the one guy you don't tell secrets to. And that line's going to come back a little later. So once again, William is trying to, in pouring rain, interview some of the other guys in the band. I must be really boring about now because I'm losing all my people. We got about 3 people left in here. Um, but I am going to step away. You guys and gals that are still in here with me, y'all continue to watch the movie. I am going to run to the restroom and get me something to eat real quick. And I will be right back. Blissful says, Coco, you can never have too much cowbell. Yeah, hold me closer, tiny dancer. Actually, that will be coming up. Um, this is I'm just now getting to the point where Russell almost got electrocuted. Um, Coco, you say, yeah, I'm going to be at the grocery, guys. Feel free to journal that. Maybe I'll be back before the movie and show's over. Okay, Coco, be careful. Oh, beat it to the grocery. Okay, gotcha. I don't know why, but I always find this scene amusing where Dick says, "You guys want to buy a gate? You just bought a gate." Coco. Mm. Yeah, and Penny very discreetly flips off the high school girls running team. So Penny's telling William that you should give them a break because there's real problems in the band. So Penny's saying, you're coming to Cleveland, right? He's like, no, 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 no. I got to get my interview with Russell before Greenville. And so this is the first time I believe that William asked, no, there's that guy again. William asked what Penny's real name is, and she won't reveal it right now. So now William's getting a over the phone lecture, and his mom's like, "You told me you wouldn't miss any more than one test, um, and you need to be home by graduation, and you're not calling me like you said you would." So we get the introduction to Beth, who's one of the original Band-Aids here, and she's supposed to be clairvoyant. And then she says, I've got some hydroponic pot. This is all William's mother is hearing this secondhand, and it's really upsetting her as it would any mother that cared about her kids. So they're being so loud that talking about his aura, that he can't hear her say, I love you. And then she yells out, I miss you and I love you. And he says, I love you too. And to which the girls kind of snicker and walk off. So then William starts firing these questions to Russell. And then he says, when did you get so professional? Okay, so here's yeah, this is going to really upset everybody in the band. And I can see why, because Dick's brought in the t-shirts, the Stillwater t-shirts. And look at that. And how many times does this probably happen in bands? That there's some promotional material, whether it be t-shirts or posters or whatever, where you can clearly see who the favorite of the band is. In this case, it's Russell, who you can plainly see on the t-shirt, and the other guys are in out of focus and in the background. He says, how can you tell I'm just one of the out of focus guys? And Russell says, you love this t-shirt because it lets you say everything that you want to say. Russell's like, hey, it's just a t-shirt. So Russell's under the impression now that you can say what you want, that William's not going to write it. So Russell calls William back into the room. And this is going to be one of the big scenes coming up, because Russell has had enough at this point And he says, from here on out, I'm only interested in what is real people, real feelings. Um, so this van is going to pull up here. And they're going to end up at a party. And Russell is going to end up partaking of a substance, namely LSD, that's going to cause a series of events to happen, some of them comedic. So this is where William is talking about, his sister leaving and all of that. And he repeats pretty much what Russell said before. He said, "Here I am, telling secrets to the guy you're not supposed to tell secrets to." So here comes the van with the kids, and they're like, "You're Russell from Stillwater." And so they get invited to a party at this guy's friend's house. And William's like, "No, we can't do this." But here they are. They end up at a party. So I think in Russell's case, he's just really glad to be having some kind of normalcy um, in his life. I believe Aaron, the guy that's throwing this shindig, is stoned out of his gourd right now. Um, so Russell's talking about everything being real. And then he says, "Want to see me feed my snake?" And he's like, "Yes." And he just gives his belt away. And William's trying to be the voice of reason here. That we should get back to the others. Okay, so there's acid in the beer in some of the cups. Okay. And William's like, please don't give him any more acid. So now, William's talking to Dick, and he said he's okay, but he's on acid. And then he says, "How do you know when it's kicked in?" Well, it's kicked in now. This is the "I am a golden god" scene that everybody remembers from this movie. There are other scenes too, but now the people are telling him to jump. So Russell says, "You can tell Rolling Stone my last words were." "I'm on drugs," and everybody loves that because everybody else is on drugs at that point now. Uh, and William says, "Russell, I think we should work on those last words." And he says, "Okay, I've got it. This is better. I dig music." And everybody's like, "Ah, it's okay." But then he says, "I'm on drugs again," and everybody just goes crazy. So he was going to come down off the roof, but now people are telling him to jump, and he jumps into the pool. So everybody's going to jump in the pool to save Russell now. So Dick's telling him that, everybody's been crying for him. And Russell's still a little wasted. And, he says, "This is my family now. I'm staying with them." Um, Hey, Bliss. Well, I'm glad you're still here. I've got exactly two people in here, and that may be you and Unseen, possibly. You say you love the adrenaline rush. So, in a second here, Russell's going to freak out. Um, and he says, "Look at him. He's taking notes with his eyes." And he's like, "How do we know you're not a cop?" And he says, "The enemy, stop fucking looking at me." See, here's a public service message of why you shouldn't do acid, right? So now William's telling Dick, "I gotta go home. Just help me get my interview." Well, I'm glad that you're still in here, Bliss. So you say I'm here multitasking and now done adulting. LOL. I mean, we got four in here now, but I again, I'm not pissed or anything, but I thought that this one would be more enjoyable for people than last night's, but maybe it's just the fact of me doing it on a Sunday. And here's gonna be the tiny dancer theme. I love this scene. This is one of my favorites because everybody's all pissed um at Russell right now, but the Elton John song "Tiny Dancer" gets everybody in a good mood, and that's the way certain types of music, certain songs can do for you. Um, is if you're having a bad mood, it can bring you right out of it. So everybody's gonna start to sing here. And if I'm watching this on my own, at this point, I can't help singing along. I'm not going to do it tonight because that would just be freaking embarrassing. But when I'm watching this by myself, preferably with Steve either asleep or not at home, um, I will sing along with the people in the movie. Yeah, Blissful. Bernie Taupin was an incredible songwriter. So William's, telling Penny, "I got to go home." She's like, "You are home." This is one of the great lines, too, or the great scenes. So now we're back to William's mother teaching her college class. And I even love her dress here. So she's teaching the class and she's being serious. And all of a sudden she says, it, it could be hormones. And then she says, "I'm sorry, I can't concentrate. Rock stars have kidnapped my son." And the look that one of her students gives us, like, what? And so she just leaves. So Jeff is trying to get this real, I guess, serious interview. But again, you can see William being drawn away. He still wants to get that ultimate interview with Russell. I like that line too. Show me a guy that says he never wanted to be popular, and I'll show you a scared guy. So now, William is panicking. He's calling Lester, and he's saying, "Rolling Stone's calling. I don't have my key interview." And so Lester's going to help him out because he knows the inside track at Rolling Stone. So he says, "You tell them the next time they call that it's a think piece um, about a mid-level band struggling with their own limitations in the harsh face of stardom." So the girls are bored, and William's sitting in a bathtub trying to piece together a good story. So um, if Penny's going to come in there and, well, the girls are talking about let's deflower the kid because they're just absolutely so bored. And then Penny comes in here and just promptly sits on the toilet in front of William. And he's like, hold on, wait, wait, wait. I should leave. He says things are going backwards. He said, I thought maybe we could hang out, do some regular stuff back home, get to know each other a little better. And then I'd see you pee. But she says, "You're one of us if you come to Cleveland." She says, "Bowie's going to be at Swingo's. I'll introduce you to him." And he's like, "Don't you have any regular friends?" And she's, "Famous people are just more interesting." And you can tell that Penny, she says, "Boy, if this was the real world." I think what she's trying to do is avoid the real world because the real world hurts, right? It's more fun to stay in this kind of fantasy world that she's built around herself. So now William's gonna lose his virginity here. Um, and so I'm not really sure if all the girls, sleep with him or it's only Sapphire and the other girls are they do some kind of lesbian like thing a couple of the girls do here. But that's what you say you used to have a hat like hers. So I think that Patrick Fugit was actually embarrassed here because that looks like an actual fleshed face. That doesn't look like anything that brought on by makeup or anything like that. So I mean, you see the other girls kissing him, but you see, Sapphire looks like she's getting ready to go downstairs. So, and she's the one in the bed with him there. So Ben Fong Torres from Rolling Stones calling. So William says, "I'm getting good stuff out here." And he says, "Yeah, it sounds like it." And Ben Von Torres is not a happy man. He said, "We're both professionals here. We already have one Hunter Thompson out there. You're out there to interview and to report." He said, "This isn't Cream Magazine, it's Rolling Stone." and we need this story in 4 days. So that kind of seems to smooth things over a little bit. So he's telling William that it's in consideration for the cover, but don't tell the band. So William is going to get a little upset here, because it seems like the girls are not taking him seriously. He was their plaything because they were bored. Now they're just wanting him to take the laundry with him when he goes out. He's like, "What am I to you?" So you can see that the girls are switching, with the exception of Penny. They're pretty much switching partners because you could see the one girl that William met not very long ago is with Dick now. She was with one of the other guys in the band. Now she's with Dick. Now, poor William has tried yet again to get an interview with Russell. Russell's not having any of it. So this scene is so heartbreaking where William breaks down essentially because he's just a kid, really. He's not ready for all this stuff. These are kind of adult situations that he's kind of been thrown into. But now Russell can change his demeanor from one scene to the next. He says, "We'll do the interview in Cleveland, man." And William's like, "I can't go to Cleveland." I love Kate Hudson's hair here too. I mean, it's just so free flowing and beautiful. And here's the scene where they're like, "Come to Cleveland." He's like, "I don't want to go to Cleveland. I want to go home." So they have officially made it to Cleveland now. So he's trying to act like he doesn't like the new Bowie stuff. And then as soon as Bowie comes in there, it's Bowie. We've all seen people act like that, right? So here's the scene really that I was talking about where they're ultimately, in my opinion, acting like groupies. Penny is, down to her underwear and just the underwear and jacket. So now William's telling his mother that he's going to fly back on Monday and I'll only miss one test. I'll be back for graduation. So Russell wants to talk to his mom. So Russell's about to get a talking to from Elaine. So Penny's had enough of these other girls coming around. So Elaine says he worships you people. That's fine by you as long as it makes you rich. And he's like, I don't think so. And she cuts him off. He's a smart, good-hearted 15-year-old kid with infinite potential. And Elaine makes some very valid points. She's not just, a goofy mother that's just spouting off things. She loves her son. And she says, if you hurt him, you will meet the person on the other end of this telephone and it will not be pretty. And so Russell has pretty much the same reaction as everybody that has talked to William's mother. He says, your mom kind of freaked me out. And William says, she means well. Sorry, guys and gals, gonna have to. Y'all probably aren't paying attention to me with the hat on anyway, but time for me to take the hat off. Again, I'd like to stress the fact that the Stillwater songs are amazing in this movie. This is probably one of the great scenes of a rock concert, too. There are very few films that have made that look as good as this film does. So here is going to be the introduction to Jimmy Fallon's character. So Dick's saying, the record company sent a big time manager here, Dennis Hope, and he wants to have 5 minutes with you. Hey again, Gizmo. You say, hello, everyone. Sorry I did not say hi back earlier, but just jumping in a short time Just finished the opening for Rotten episode 3. Takes time. Oh, I totally get that, Gizmo. I thank you for, jumping in and talking to us throughout this movie because, this is the bootleg version, so it is quite a bit longer. So he's telling him, your manager needs a manager because if you hadn't run out on your contract in Phoenix, we could have sued over Russell's hand when the near electrocution happened. So they've been traveling by bus. So Dennis Hope is telling them, you can play more shows and all that stuff if you have a plane. I mean, this guy is, you know, forever for however crude he is a man in the business, and essentially to get a record pressed and played, as he says, do you know how to get a record pressed and played? Um, I mean, he is the voice of reason about this. He's a little crude, a little rough around the edges, but the one thing he says that I think is funny though is you got to strike while the iron is hot. He's basically telling them because if you think uh, he says, if Mick and Keith are going to be, dance around on stage when they're 50, you're sadly mistaken. Well, maybe that's what they thought back in the 70s. Um, but the truth be told, yeah, hell yeah, the Rolling Stones were in their 50s rocking and rolling and strutting all over the stage, still yet. Um, but, uh, and then later too. But, I'm sure that that's how people thought back in 73. We're not going to be doing this shit when we're in our 50s. I mean, they probably thought at that time that they might not even make it out of their 30s, right? So, it was a very different world back in 73 than it is, well, even a few years after, once we got into the 90s, let's say, um, or hell, even early 2000s. But it still gives you insight into what the thought process was back then. Oh, well, thank you, Chris. You said great Eurocult app on body count to Dana. Love it. I like this Cat Stevens song that is playing here. And then there's the plane. And I have seen, I watched something about the, uh, shoot, it's totally, I've seen the Buddy Holly story and we know all about, these things with planes. Oh, Leonard Skinner. I watched about that plane crash. And oh my God, that I wish now that I hadn't watched it because that thing still haunts me. I mean, I know it was a dramatization, but if you read stuff on the actual plane crash, that the stuff that, like for instance, one of the guys that survived the plane crash, the stuff he saw, um, I think one of the pilots got beheaded, and it's just, oh my gosh, just so horrible. Well, so you say it's heartbreaking. Yes, it most certainly is. And it was one of those movies, I guess you would call it a movie. I'm forgetting the name of it now. Um, but I watched it here and not very long ago. And I it's one of those that you wish you hadn't watched it, but you couldn't help yourself and you watched it anyway. And I've done that with several movies, based on true events. And, yeah, I mean, it's some of the one of the survivors, it was like people were screaming at him for help. He came across the pilots who had been killed in the crash. He saw some of his friends that didn't make it. It's just, just terrible, terrible, um, to watch, even though that is not the real thing. You can only imagine what it was like for the real guy to be experiencing that. Okay, so Penny is going to find out here. Of course, it's her birthday, and they've got a cake and everything for her. But they're gonna be going to New York soon, and Russell's wife is going to be in New York to meet him, and so they don't want Penny to go. So the scene before this, of course, they asked Russell, is it okay with you? They were having a road manager poker tournament. And William was, listening in on this, and he saw where um, they owed some of the other road managers something because they didn't win. And so they're wanting to give over, I don't really like that because it sounds like the girls are property. It sounds like Penny and other girls are property, and they're giving them over to Humble Pie, basically, because they say the girls have to be off the tour, um, before they make it to New York. So Penny's cutting the cake here, and handing out pieces of cake to everybody. And so Dennis, the new manager, is going to come over, and he's going to tell her, as he's taking his cake, um, I wish that the plane was bigger or something like that. That here it is. I'm sorry the plane isn't bigger. And it hits her at that point. Oh, I'm not going with the guys. But so you say there's a guy who's still finding items from the crash site of Patsy Cline's plane. Yeah. I've seen Sweet Dreams as well. Yeah, just it gives me cold chills even thinking about those things. So poor Penny tries to shrug it off, and there's her luggage and stuff there, and she's just found out she's not going. So Penny's saying, I can read what you're thinking. And he said, what's that? And she said, you're worried about me and Russell. And he says, yeah, I got to work on that. And she told him, you're sweet. God, if there was more of you in him. He says, don't tell me this stuff because I want to like him. She thinks he's upset because he missed a test. She said, I know I'm not on the plane. I'm not going on some other band's bus. I could go with the road crew, but that would be pathetic. She says, so if you could find out from Russell, and he's like, forget it. Or he's like, Penny, and she says, forget it. She says, oh, well, I've got partial tickets. I'll cash them all in, and I will go to New York on my own. So William really gets angry here. He's like, wake up, don't go to New York. She says, why are you yelling at me? Yeah, William's had it at this point. He says he's confused, all these rules and all these sayings and nicknames. And she says, honey, you're too sweet for rock and roll. And he says, then he really says, where do you get off? Where do you get sweet? I am dark and mysterious and pissed off, and I can be very dangerous to all of you. I although I haven't hung around rock bands, I will say that I have felt like William at some points and times in my more recent life because and some people may laugh at this, and that's okay if you laugh. Um I mean, everybody's not going to totally understand what I'm about to say because they're probably going to think, dang, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as rock musicians. But to me, it is because I've never hung around rock musicians. Okay. So, when I started hanging around with certain people at conventions and stuff, and got into the different circles, that some of those circles I'm still within those circles today. There were certain points in times where new people would come into the mix, and I would start to feel left out because it was just like William said, I'm confused because there was new nicknames and new lingo and all this stuff, and I just completely felt left out in the cold. And during those points in times, I really thought about giving up on the whole thing and never going to another convention again. Not even trying to talk to the people that I was part of the circles, because I just felt like I was nothing, that I did not belong anymore, that there were all these new people in there, that had created an atmosphere that I didn't even understand. So, I totally understand, that resonates with me, that whole conversation that William just had with Penny. So there's Russell's wife. He's, signing autographs, and Jeff is going to go up and talk to Leslie. Dick's talking to Leslie. So there is all the stuff that poor William has collected over time. And Dick tells him, there are lighter souvenirs. And he said, well, I kept thinking I was going home soon. And Dick said, so did I 15 years ago. So there Vic returns. And so Vic's saying Sapphire, Miss Penny Lane are here, Led Zeppelin's here. and they're staying under the name Emily Roadburn. Oh no. So William's getting another call. Oh, and now Rolling Stone and Jan Winter is calling this time. They're telling him they need him to be back in San Francisco tomorrow. That you can tell the band now that they're going to be on the cover. And now they're talking about a real early fax machine, a mojo, as they call it. So they're wanting an ID for William, but Dennis helps him get in. That would definitely be an underage place for, or William would definitely be underage for a place like this. And there, Polexia makes a reappearance. She says she's going to England with Deep Purple and they leave in an hour. I think Polexia is a very confused girl, as you can see by her just laying one on William there. So William is trying to tell everybody that they're going to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. And there's Penny. This is another. I feel like this is a heartbreaking scene because poor Penny. You can tell she is absolutely in love with Russell. But who is sitting next to Russell but his wife Leslie? And Leslie's spine Penny back there. And so they're singing the Rolling Stone song. I don't really know who that girl is sitting on one of the band members' laps. Like some of these girls are not regulars like that you see in a bunch of scenes that kind of come and go. So Leslie it says, "Who is that girl? She's creeping me out. She's not with any of you guys, is she?" And they all like try to say, "Oh, she's with me." So Dick's gonna, very politely, I guess, try to go over there and try to get Penny to leave. And I'm sorry, but Russell's being a shit here because instead of doing the thing that he should do, he's just being a little wimp. I mean, he stands up here, but yet he still doesn't do anything. I'm sorry, but Leslie's just a bitch. She's like a high society bitch, pretty much. So William is trying frantically to find Penny. So, unfortunately, Penny's been doing some quaaludes and drinking, which is definitely not a good combination. And she says that even Sapphire went somewhere else and all she left was her quaaludes. So William is frankly calling a doctor to the room. And she's just going on, I'm retired and I'm tired. And then we switch to what would have been William's graduation. But William's not there. And then Penny breaks down at this point, and the mask is off now. She asked William, she said, "Why doesn't he love me?" I think this is funny too because they think not very long from 73, they're going to be in shiny electrical cars flying up in the air. And, it's 2023 and we still haven't gotten that. But William is actually really in love with Penny. And he doesn't love her for any other reason except that he loves her. Um, so he's just told her he loves her and he's about to boldly go where many men have gone before. So the thing I'm thinking though is the damn doctor took long enough to get there. So I think the way they keep asking her, "What did you take, honey? What did you take?" I think that is the way to keep her awake, keep her answering questions. But oh my God, if this is the way it is when you have your stomach pumped, I'm glad I never had to have my stomach pumped because this looks vicious here. So Penny's telling another story about how Keith Richards pulled her out and took her backstage and gave her a Coke with ice and a lemon. And she says she never went home from that point on. She said, I've done twice the things I said I did. And then he asked her about her mom. And she said she always said, marry someone grand. And that's why she named her Lady. So this is at the point where we finally find out what Penny's real name is. And so Penny says, now you know all my secrets. So she actually thanks William at this point, because essentially she'd be dead if William didn't, you know, take the initiative and take care of her. So we're soon going to be coming up on the frightening airplane scene, not with Penny, but with William and the band. And well, I'll wait till it gets there. But here's the kind of like the long goodbye with William and Penny. So, and here again is where I feel like Russell's being a little bit of a shit. Because they're saying, well, where were you last night? And, Bob Dylan showed up and all that. But that scene there where lightning, I guess, kind of hit the plane, um, that scene always, like, if I forget about it and I have the sound turned up real loud, it scares the crap out of me when that happens. But I know this is all staged and everything, but this is still a very frightening scene. So now they're being told they're gonna have to land in a field. So now they're gonna, it's kinda gonna be like a confessional, um, here where everybody's, letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak, okay? So, Dennis says, "I once hit a man in Dearborn, Michigan. I hit him and I just kept going." He says, "I don't know if he's alive or dead, but I'm sorry." And Dick says, I love all you guys. You're like family ever since Marna left me. And now some of the guys in the band are telling him I slept with Marna, Dick. So, everything's coming out now. So I guess all the guys in the band slept with Marna. And Jeff slept with Leslie. And then tells, Russell, none of us love you. You act above us. You always have. So then Jeff says, I'm still in love with you, Leslie. So then he says, don't be self righteous, Russell. You were sleeping with Penny, and he calls Penny a fucking groupie. So William's really mad. He says, that groupie, she was a band aid. All she did was love your band, and you all used her. All of you used her and threw her away. And that's essentially what they did. Bless what you say, it reinforces that I hate flying. LOL. Hey, Coco. Say, I just got back, and I'll be damned if I didn't get my nutty buddies. Forgot how. I wonder that about myself all the time, Coco. If I'm really wanting something and I go to the store, why in the hell don't I get it? So the final thing, is their drummer just says I'm gay, and at this point things even out, and it seems that they're not going to die in a plane crash now. So it is truly a very somber walk down the hallway, and William is very ill. I think I would be very ill if that happened to a plane that I was on. So Russell's going to tell him something here. Write what you want. Coco, you say I left the movie going, but it was over when I got back. Sherlock Holmes was playing. Um, well, if you want to try to get caught back up, Coco, we're at the Rolling Stone offices. Um, we're 2 hours and 16 minutes, or 2 hours and 17 minutes in. So made it back to Rolling Stone, and she's basically telling him he's just a kid. Um, this will be very intimidating. This girl's a bitch here, their fact checker. So they're pounding him here. So William finally says, Ben, you told me to send what I had. It's not finished. Give me tonight to work on it. Phew, excuse me. So then Lester Bangs says, oh man, you made friends with them. See, friendship is the booze they feed you. They want you to get drunk on feeling like you belong. And see, that goes back to me in my early days of going to the conventions and stuff like that. That's how I felt too. I'm not trying to turn this into a pity party for me, but that's why certain things in this movie resonate with me, because I certainly felt the way William feels in this movie. That, you know, they only made me, I'm not cool. I'm a loser, like I always have been. And these people let me have a little peek into their world. And I'm not talking about famous people or people that were in the horror movies or whatever. I'm talking about the people that I consider friends and was hanging out with at the conventions. And, it was one of those things where I thought it would, you know, wrongly so, I thought things would stay the way they were forever and ever and ever. But they didn't. Things changed. New people came into the circles. Some people left. New people came in, and it got to be a different landscape. And I kind of um, felt sorry that I even, tried to fit in. Now I'm in a better place with it, but there was a certain point in time where I was like, yeah, this was a mistake. I not made of I'm I don't fit in with these people. That was my thinking. And it was very emotional for me during that time. And you're gonna see with William in this movie that he's just exhausted. He's exhausted of all the back and forth and all of that. Coco, so you weren't, yeah, I guess you weren't watching the bootleg version. It was only 2 hours and 3 minutes. Yeah, this version is 2 hours and 41 minutes, and we got about 20 minutes left of this movie. So Russell says, "I told him that he could write what he wanted," and everybody's looking at him like, "Why did you do that?" And so Dennis says, the fact checker will check with everybody in the band. They haven't checked with Russell yet. He can deny it all. Blissful's right. I do that too. She says, Coco, I always forget something and get extra. LOL. So now they're, telling him how phenomenal it is and stuff, but the shit's about ready to hit the fan here because the fact checker, there she is. The band just denied 90% of the story. It's a fabrication. And the ultimate, degradation is he's just a fan. What'd you expect? And there's the return of William's sister, Anita, who is indeed become a stewardess. Coco, you say it's a good realization to have. Sometimes you just don't fit in. Not a bad thing. What does it even mean? I'm at the bus stop scene. Well, in my case, about the don't fit in is like me. It was not me trying to hang around with rock stars. It was me trying to hang out with just, regular everyday people at conventions. And then I got to feeling like I didn't fit in. Sorry for repeating that. Uh, so are you at the bus stop seeing Coco with him and Lester Bangs? Is that the one? So I'm at the part where Anita and William have made it back home, and William's trying to get his mom and Anita to interact with each other. It's a very uncomfortable looking hug there. But now, they're getting to be on more better ground here. And her mother says, "I forgive you," and she says, "I didn't apologize," and then they just start laughing. So at this point, William is so glad to be home. He's just frankly he's exhausted. So here, Sapphire returns, and she's going to be the voice of reason here. And I like what she tells Russell. I really like what she tells him. And also, Russell and Jeff are having a heart to heart here. He's saying all the great partnerships hate each other. And Russell's like, we didn't hate each other. He said, well, I think we did at some point. Was you say you're wholeheartedly against fitting in? I don't know. I'm weird that way. I've always had a need to fit in somewhere. And it always felt like as soon as I started to feel like I was fitting in, the bottom would drop out of it. So maybe I need to be more like you and just, be against fitting in altogether. And he has his penny okay. Well, it's a hell of a time Russell will be asking that. And so Sever says, well, it wasn't pretty. She could have died. And she said, I always told her not to let too many guys fall in love with her. I guess I was wrong. One of them ended up saving her life. Thank you, Blissful. And honestly, guys and gals, I'm not fishing for compliments, but it is nice when somebody drops me one or two. Blissful, you say just for you, you're amazing. And Savar's saying, can you believe these new girls? None of them use birth control and they all eat steak. And she said, they don't even know what it is to be a fan. So Russell calls Penny and, he lies at first and says, I can't really talk. I'm in a room full of people. And he said, actually, I'm alone. And he says he won't call again, but he says, I need to see you face to face because I'm never as good as when you're there. And he's saying he's sorry. And if you were watching this for the first time, you would think, is she gonna see Russell? Is she gonna allow him to come to her house and see her? And she says, got a pen, and he thinks, oh great, I'm gonna get to see her. But no, Penny has one last trick up her sleeve, and that is that she's going to set him up. He thinks he's going to see Penny, but this is William's house. And he's like, where am I? So he's going to look at the pictures on the mantle here, and he's going to come to the realization that, oh my God, I'm at William's house. And she's telling him, I think you owe him an apology, and I appreciate you showing up. I think William is probably feeling like I used to after a really, something that's really wiped me out. You feel like you could just absolutely just sleep and sleep forever. And he says, I think we both wanted to be with her, and she wanted us to be together. Hey, Russell. And he says, that girl really cares about you. And he says, I didn't even know her real name. So William was able to find out her real name. And he says, oh, I called your magazine. And he says, I told him the truth. He says, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I told them every word you wrote was true. So William says, we're going to do this one more time. And he asks him what he loves about music. And Russell says, to begin with, everything. And that's probably the most honest answer he could give about what does he love about music. So William's family is back together. Stillwater got the cover of Rolling Stone, and Penny is going to Morocco. And William is saying goodbye to Russell there. And as usual, I'm going to let the credits run out on this. I was like, what is going on with this? It was black screen for so much. Now it's showing the photos. And so I want to thank everybody, first of all, that actually came to this watch along, kind of stuck with me for the duration of it, because this was a little bit longer than normal. This was actually almost 3 hours. And, I could have split it up. I kind of thought about doing that. But then I thought, what the hey? I'm starting at 7. Surely, and it's almost 10 now. So I don't think that is too awfully late for a Sunday night. Um, but I do hope you guys and gals enjoyed it, that stuck around for the duration of the film. Uh, and that, you guys and gals will keep coming to these things for as long as I can do them. Thank you, Blissful. You say, love this movie, Dana. Awesome pick. Um, I, you know, I was hoping more of the regulars would come and be able to stick around. And I was glad to see Darren. I was glad to see Dirk, Chris, um, Russell. Russell's been in a few of these. Coco. Blissful Unseen. Um, I honestly don't know what has happened to some of the other people that I consider kind of semi regulars. Um, People have just seemed to have fallen off the map lately, and I don't know if it's me, if it's the movie choices, or what it is. Um, but I guess better not to dwell on your losses, but to enjoy the company that you did have. And I was indeed in good company tonight. And I want to thank each and every one of you for spending time with me once again. Uh, Coco, you say I thought it was double feature Sunday. uh, Russell, you said watched it this afternoon with Keith's watch party at 1 p.m. Uh, also, you already saw this, Russell? Wow. Okay. I didn't. I Unfortunately I can't keep up with everything, and I don't know who's having a watch party when. And I think some people are I don't know if I want to say perturbed or what, but I think they get a little irritated that I won't stream the movie. Um Hey Wes, we were watching the bootleg cut. Unfortunately, it's over now, but you can always go back and watch it on the replay if you want to. Um, so I just wanted to use the longer cut. Um, Not that I think one is better than the other. I just thought more enjoyment the longer it is. Um, but uh, but yeah, like I was saying, I think some people get a little perturbed at me that I won't just bite the bullet and stream these movies. But I'm telling you guys and gals right now, especially if I tried to stream this movie or any movie similar to it. And you can actually probably ask Wes about this or CK, that believe you me that YouTube will cut you off if you try to show something like this and stream it. So that is why I play it safe. I don't know what people do with watch parties. Maybe Russell can enlighten me. I have heard of people being able to have watch parties and actually stream the movie for people on the watch party. But guys and gals, it don't. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way through YouTube. They will cut your stream off, and they do not hesitate about that. Uh, So you say the theatrical cut's your favorite, Wes? Well, maybe I should have went with the theatrical cut, but I don't know. Maybe sometime on down the road I'll have the a watch along for the theatrical cut. See, Wes confirms. He says, "Believe me, they sure will, boss." My jacket is not quite. I haven't gotten all the patches on it yet, Wes. So I am not wearing it yet. I've still got the patch that's still coming. It had to come all the way from China. I didn't know that, or I probably would have tried to order it from somewhere else. So hence it's taken a little longer to get here. But this is the 10 by 10 patch that's going to go on the back of the jacket that says Deadites on deck. Um, and I'm sewing another patch. Actually, I can show you since you're on here. Oops. You might have seen me show this before, but I was going through some patches that I already had. And I'm going to be sewing this patch onto the jacket as well. So I was going to put buttons all over it, but I'm thinking more along the lines that I'm probably going to go with the patches, the embroidered patches, instead of all the buttons, because I've got all the buttons on my hat. So I probably really don't need to put buttons all over the jacket as well. Uh, you thought that was my new gimmick? Well, I don't know if it's more of a gimmick per se than it is just a part of my brand. Um, yeah, Russell, you saw the bootleg cut, I believe, or maybe not, because Coco said same here, Russ. Okay, well, sorry about that. Yeah, you saw the theatrical cut. The bootleg cut is 2 hours and 41 minutes. I go back and forth, Wes. You say 99% of the time I prefer the theatrical cut of any movie. You think so, Wes? So Steve has a birthday coming up. You should get him a matching one. I don't know if he'd go for that. Oh God, could get Patches of Peters to put on his though. I don't think he wants a pink and white jacket, honestly, Wes. Coco, you say, yeah, we're about to be the United States of China, so no biggie, Dana. I hope it doesn't come to that. I have nothing against China, but I don't want China to take us over either. I don't want anybody to take us over. Gosh, he hadn't been using it. Like I was like, where the hell is Uncle Bill? You say happy birthday to UB stream on Wednesday night at 10. He's using his gift for the first time on that stream. Um, That'll be cool. However, I was like, I didn't know if he was busy this weekend. I knew you were busy last night, but I didn't see hide nor hair of Uncle Bill last night during Terror on Tour. Didn't see him tonight. Not that he hasn't been on my streams. I'm not saying that, but honestly, I haven't seen Uncle Bill in one of my streams except to just kind of drop in and say one or two things and then he's gone. But I know the Chromebook wasn't that great, and he never knew when it was just gonna uh, die on him. So, um, and I don't know. Maybe you guys had a understanding that he wasn't gonna do a stream and use the new laptop until his birthday stream, which I totally understand. I get it. I'll have to. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to tune in because Wednesday night TJ and I do the uh episode breakdowns for Friday 13th, the series. Um, Russell, you said the year in this movie I was a teen. Yeah, I wasn't even born yet. I wouldn't be born for 3 more years. But so you say, Dana, I did get those patches that saw my jeans, red roses. Oh, that's awesome, Blissful. Yeah, I know he just opened it on Friday, but I didn't know that he, wasn't going to use it. Like I thought, oh, he'll be chomping a bit. He'll want to use it, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. Coco, you say, I watched a video early this morning of you, Steve, and CK at that horror store. Oh, wow. Can't think of the store. I think it was the Spirit Halloween store. She said, Lord of mercy. Anyways, it was entertaining. I would imagine it was. Oh, God. Well, she said UB has been having problems with his butt lately. He's been doing sits bats a lot lately. Keep that between you and me. Well, sorry, Wes. You put that in here, and I put that up on the screen. Yeah, I got the Chucky doll. Actually, you can't see it back there because I don't have any lights back on back there. But yeah, I was the one that got the Chucky doll that time. Ah, you say, not sure honestly, but they've been busy with a lot of stuff with Tiny's names for sales and Fox starting school. Yeah, that makes sense. I tend to forget about that stuff. You say maybe we can do that again this year? Oh, I'd like to if we could get Steve to, drive. Oh, wow. Russell, you said they're coming out with a Art the Clown dog. Dirk would probably want one of those. Coco, you say, yeah, Spirit Halloween. Well, I hate to go when we've got, 7 people still in here. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming in here tonight and joining me as I go or went through this watch along for Almost Famous, the bootleg cut. What she say? If I come to town, his ass will show up, or I'll come there and slap fight him. Okay. All right. But just as a reminder, I'm planning on doing a Camp Cronenberg tomorrow night. Tuesday, hopefully, I'll come up with something. Wednesday will be TJ and I covering another group of the second season of episodes from Friday the 13th, the series. Thursday, I'll be doing another Seductive Poison, the Resurgence podcast. I will be talking about television horror movies or made for television horror movies from the 80s. Friday, I'll probably do an early stream after I get off from work. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday will be some more watch alongs. Saturday will be the original Pet Cemetery. And Sunday will be Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Coco, you say CK looks at Steven on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest type of way. So, anyway, thank you guys and gals again for joining me tonight for yet another watch along. And as I always say, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now, and I'll see you next time.